Get real with the fever on the dance floor. Now who got the fever for the flames? Who can think the way that I flex on a track? Concussion rampage. Ricky Rick on point with the knife I style for my lip. That be rolling the mad joints.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the 2300 Pod. Nate Maxon here with you, along as always with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
And ECW's Chad Austin.
Don't forget ECW Star.
ECW Star Chad Austin.
Yeah, I saw that on one of your posts earlier where I was like, Star? The only thing I saw was the stars when I was laying on the canvas.
Yeah, but this show, we put you over. We put you over on this show. And also on the We Can't Wrestle podcast as well. Well, this week we are going to be reviewing the episode of ECW from May 25th, 1993. But I would be remiss if I did not say we talked about him actually last week on the show, this past week, losing Tracy Smothers, sad occasion. Like I said, last week's show, we had some conversation about Tracy. You guys want to share any memories or anything before we go on with the show about Tracy Smothers?
Aaron, you want to go?
Yeah, I said my story that I have of him last week with the autograph signing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good.
Yes, Eric. Yes.
Yes.
I had just been on so many shows with Tracy, like over the years, that it's hard to. It's just he's one of them guys where you just never expect to not see in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you just never expect. No, Tracy Smothers is going to be here. Oh, that's going to be great. You know, and he's going to do good business. And I mean, a lot of people don't understand how big of a guy Tracy Smothers is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a monster of a guy, and he's a bad dude. You know, he was a bad dude. And it's one of them ones where you don't even realize how close it hits to you until it happens. And then you go like, damn, you know, I never got close to him, even though I had an opportunity to. I just never did. I always figured Tracy will be there.
Right. Well, and as a wrestling fan going to indie shows, I know for you as a worker saying Tracy's going to be here, he's going to be in the locker room. As a wrestling fan going to indie shows, it's going to be weird to not go to indie show and he's on it, because Aaron and I have been to a lot of shows and Tracy was always there, you know, and always probably one of the most entertaining guys on the card and working hard, and in autograph signings always took time with fans and he never made you feel like you were a burden or bothering him or anything like that. Just a really cool dude.
He was one of the most personalizable people you could ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Because isn't it you? Was it Aaron that said that he spelled your name wrong like 3 different times?
Yeah, Aaron did, yeah.
I mean, like it's not that he didn't try. It wasn't a rib on you.
Yeah.
Like he just didn't hear you and he spelled it wrong. But yeah, but how personable is that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he like me personally. When it comes to like doing autograph signings and stuff like that, I'm a big fan of personalizing stuff. Even though I know that my autograph isn't worth shit, like my autograph ain't worth shit, but I'd rather personalize stuff than just sign generic, 8x10s that somebody could just sell.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And that was the other cool thing was he a lot of these people, like I shouldn't say these people, a lot of guys, you know, like when I go, I have a bunch of cards and shit, because I think getting a card signed is cooler than, you know, an 8x10 or whatever. I just think it's neater, especially if it's an original card. I got a ton of them, and Tracy signed my card, which I was obviously paying for the autograph for that. And then he was like, "Hey man, you want this 8x10 too?" And then he didn't even like. Some of these guys, they charge you twice if they want to charge the card. They charge you for the card, and then they try to get you with the 8x10. And I was like, "I'm cool, man." He's like, "No, just take it." He just signed it and gave it to me. I mean, he didn't need to do that.
That's probably because Tracy didn't want to carry it home. The picture. It's like a flea market. Every time we go to the flea market, we try to
you want to leave empty-handed,
selling something, and they try to tell you they want more than what you want to pay for it. You go, well, you want to take it home then?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, you know.
The last show we saw Tracy at, just one thing that stuck out in my mind. I thought about it. I guess I didn't think about it too much at the time. but I thought about it this week. It was cool at that show because Tommy Rich was there too, and Tracy and Tommy Rich just shooting the shit and being good old boys together. That was a cool thing to see too. And the outpouring from the wrestling community, it's like Jim Cornette said on his podcast this week, a lot of the original stuff you saw came from the wrestlers and the wrestling community because of how beloved he was in the industry. And then the fans kind of caught on to that. But, yeah, definitely Tracy Smothers will be sorely missed in the wrestling business from the workers and us fans alike. We're going to miss him.
He's also involved in the only stuff that I really liked of that the WCW early '90s version of the Freebirds. Like Jimmy Jam and Steve and Michael P.S. Hayes was not over with me, but when they had those matches with the Young Pistols, goddamn, those are good goddamn matches.
Yeah, I'm so glad that people like Jim Cornette. And I said this like the day that I heard about the tragedy. The day that I heard, I was like, man, I hope somebody mentions the fact that the Southern Boys against the Midnight Express in Baltimore as one of the best tag team matches. It's a blueprint for tag team matches, I mean, it was perfect, and Tracy Smothers was probably not so much the ring general because he didn't have to be because everybody was as good as he was.
Right.
They just did the match and it just came out like beautifully. It was awesome.
And one of the greatest things about it is Jimmy said, essentially we went out there and had a good, really, really, really good match as a fuck you to the company pretty much, which is awesome.
Yeah. Cause they had no plans for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
they didn't even want anything to do with any of them because they had to pay 4 people plus the referee plus the manager, fuck.
Yeah. Well, May 25th, 1993. It says we'd like to call it here in the 2300 pod another doozy here this week from the world famous Cabrini College Fieldhouse in what's the city in Pennsylvania it's in? They mentioned it in this episode, but I don't remember what the city is or what the town is, but close to Philly, I assume.
Yeah, it would have had to have been. It would have had to have been somewhere near like the outskirts of Philly because there's a bunch of colleges around there.
Okay,
and I'm assuming Cabrini was one of them because at some point ECW ran the other college. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head for a bigger show with Cactus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so obviously they were outsourcing the smaller arenas for TV tapings, which they just fucking wore them people out. Jesus,
it's in Randnor.
Okay. Yeah, I remembered them mentioning it, but I didn't write it down. Randnor. Well, Sully. Well, we start with a repeat of last week's Paulie promo on Todd Gordon, and then of course, Wet Sully and Stevie Wonderful welcome us to this week's edition of ECW.
Well, doesn't that whole entire? Aren't we starting to see a pattern now? That when every week they recap what happened last week as if we need to see it.
The whole thing. It's not like just a clip here, a clip there. It's the whole segment.
So doesn't that clearly show that they're actually running out of material,
Right.
Or so that's where we're at this point. The Cabrini College is just it's dead. And where's the sign guy?
Haven't seen him. I remember seeing him on one of the, and he wasn't at this one though. I don't think, or maybe he went home. I don't know.
Yeah, I
got to work in the morning. Yeah,
Jesus.
Well, no, I will say this in ECW's defense is that they would tape their shows, them marathon shows. They would tape them at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So they would go.
You weren't there till 2 a.m. Yeah.
Well, they would go until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. But then some of the talent would have to stay until, like you said, later on to do promos because the hotel was only, I don't know, I don't want to say blocks away, but it wasn't more than blocks away,
Right.
A quarter mile away. So it didn't matter to them. But yeah, they got to fucking get out of this fucking place. Jesus Christ Almighty.
We start off our first match is a doozy. Go ahead, Aaron. Go ahead.
When Jay Sully's hyping, for one, they're hyping that Super Destroyer 3 is going to be here. So let's get excited about that. But then Jay Sully goes, and also we got this Jimmy Superfly Snuka defending his TV title. He just called him this Jimmy Snuka over here.
this guy. Yeah. What's he ever done? Who he ever beat?
He didn't say the magnificent super. He said this Superfly Snuka is defending his TV belt.
That whole look of Jay Sully, the way that he looked, like his expression on his face, he almost looks like Chuck Taylor if Chuck Taylor had like some emotion. And then there's Stevie Wonderful next to him. You look at them like, if I was scanning the channels and I saw these two fucking, for lack of a better word, I would say turds. If I saw these two guys on TV, I go, what the fuck are these two guys talking about? I mean, because Jay Sully looks like he has to poop.
and
Stevie Wonderful looks like he did.
Stevie Wonderful is depleted Dallas Page. That's what I'm calling him now, depleted Dallas Page, because he deflated Dallas.
Knowing Dally, he'll probably sue him. For gimmick infringement. Stevie Wonderful.
Stevie Wonderful's yoga, yeah. So the first match of the show, Super Destroyer 3, which who knows who that is, against HD Rider, one of the Hell Riders. Super Destroyer 3, for those of you not watching along, you should be, because we shouldn't have to suffer through this alone, is Sal Bellomo, who's one of the MVPs of these early shows, by the way.
You ain't kidding, man.
He's playing up the gimmick, showing his face from under the mask. I wrote down about this. If you listen to the commentary of this match, it's like the prototype for current WWE commentary. Like, these two guys and their banter is terrible. It's awful.
And the fake laughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's playing stupid?
What's that?
Like, you mean he's playing stupid?
Yeah, just the stupid jokes.
They kind of got who it was at the end, and I thought it was funny because, in my opinion, I thought that Sal was lifting the mask up for breathing issues.
I think that's what he was going for. Like, I think
but they didn't sell for
it. No, they didn't at all.
I was like, hey, he's lifting the mask up, and the one time he did the shh, but then after that he was lifting the mask up because he can't fucking breathe. and they kept saying like he's got a mask issue. He can't get his mask on where he can see properly. But I'll tell you what, Salvatore Bellomo had one hell of a drop kick. that was a for a guy Salvatore's weight and age and whatever. That was a hell of a drop kick he threw in there.
That's not, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
Sandman should have even more shame. Sal Bellomo's doing a better drop kick than you, and he's blown up.
Yeah, Salvatore has been the saving grace of the whole entire.
He is. You want to see what the hell he's going to do every week? Yeah. Like, what's Sal going to do this week? Old Sal.
I wonder if even Eddie or Paul even directed him. Like maybe he just said, "This is what I'm going to do.
This is what I'm going to do."
Maybe maybe the feds were on to him because of his child stuff, and he started wearing the mask because he needed to hide his identity.
Well, I'm not gonna go into that conversation. I have no idea what his.
I love the kids. I just don't want to touch your kids.
Damn it, Sal! Damn it! Settle down, Sal.
That's all he wants to do is deal with the kids.
Well, Sal is attacked at this point by the Super Destroyers and Hunter Q. Robbins.
So this is setting up a classic feud.
Yes, the gimmick infringement feud between the Super D's and Sal Bellomo. Can't wait.
Obviously, this feud doesn't last that long.
It can't. There's no way.
I mean, yeah, it can't because we're only a month and a half away from the Paul Lee regime.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're already starting to see like how they're already starting to phase out some of the talent that's already there. So we're starting to see like new guys. I mean, no, we're not starting to see new guys. We're starting to see how they're starting to replace the guys with new positions.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this though, I'm slightly intrigued on finding out who's going to come to Sal's like rescue and who's going to be his partner. Like it's actually kind of does interest me a little bit.
I don't think anybody does. I think probably JD Smith.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I like how Eddie and Paul like JT.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see it. I see a little bit of talent in JT. Like the hometown crowd loves him.
He's been another one of the shining things in these shows.
Except for when he does high spots.
The workhorse of this company right now.
No, I agree. I totally think JT was one of the guys that Eddie and Paul were like, he's homegrown, he's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's book him because he's over, or at least more over than Larry Winters. I don't fucking know.
Speaking of which, the Simpsons are up next, defending their tag team titles in. I put down what was not a terrible match.
It's decent.
Although, so anyway, folks, it's Winters and Stetson defending their tag team championships against the Suicide Blondes, Chris Candido and Johnny Hotbody. And one of the things I wrote down to start, and then I'll let you guys chime in. The first part of this match, not the whole match, but the first part of this match, and Chad, you can tell me if I'm off base, but I thought the first part of this match, Candido wrestled like a babyface. He felt like the babyface for a lot of the match.
I don't want to say that I agree because I totally see what you're talking about, but he took bumps like a heel, like he did the fucking big bumps. Like that he's supposed to do, but I'm like, dude, none of it made any sense. Like he's just bumping Candido around, like for no reason. And then there was a completely botched back body drop.
Yep.
By like I don't know what that was. He was supposed to it's one of the things where when you throw a guy into the ropes, if you're trying to call a match on the fly, you have to tell the guy what the fuck they're going to take. Mm-hmm. When you throw him into the ropes. But he throws what's his name into the ropes and he doesn't do anything. He just bends over. The other guy just runs into him. That's just like, just tell the guy, backdrop. How hard is that? Backdrop. That was a shame. I mean, the Super D's, in my opinion, they're pretty much running their course. And the Suicide Blondes are what I think is a step up as far as the tag team division. But they still have a lot to go because Stetson and Hotbody, or Stetson and Winters, are just, come on. I mean, I like Stetson personally. Winters, I don't know. But I mean, Jesus Christ almighty.
I thought when Candido and Stetson were in there together, it was passable, but it's like any other part of the match was just rough. Like there was a spot where Winters was trying to wrestle at Candido's level, and they did a thing where it was I don't know all the sequences or whatever, but it was the deal where the guy winds up on his back, and as the guy's running at him, he puts his legs up and flips him, and it was just Candido was trying to do it with him, and Winters was in like super slow motion.
Yeah, he just went through the motions, and he expected Candido to do the rest of it.
It was pretty bad.
I mean, there was a beautiful DDT by Larry Winters, if that's what you want to call it. I even put a star next to it. Like, what a DDT!
Good job, Bart.
Yeah, he threw the guy threw him into the ropes. He went for a backdrop, and he DDT him. And if you want to talk about the end of finishing moves. Like how the decline of finishing moves went over, how he died. There you go, Larry Winters DDTing the guy, and
it wasn't even a victory.
It's not the finish.
It wasn't even a win. Fuck. Get the fuck out of here.
But thankfully, we have new tag team champions.
Yes.
Well, at one point, it was great if you were John Finnegan, the referee, because he got ref bumped.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to see the rest of it. All we had to do was turn around when they did the shitty fucking chain spot, for the finish.
Yeah.
The old Memphis.
Up over the head. And...
That's a great finish, but it's been done so much. But you would have thought they could have done it way better than that. You know what I mean? It could have been done way better. I don't know if it's the people that were doing it or how it was laid out, but yeah, you can see where that spot could have been done a lot better than that. And I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, the stupid little tiny chain spot?
Well, and I will say this, honestly, I really believe you watch this match, folks, and you look at Candido, Hotbody, Winters, and Stetson, and it's definitely one of these things is not like the others kind of thing, because you can see it in Candido, but these other guys, I don't know.
Well, I actually wrote down on my notes is that you can clearly tell that Candido is the star of this match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the guy. The rest of the guys, no offense to any of the rest of the guys in the match whatsoever, because I'm friends with some of them. They are just regular independent guys. They would be great on bought shows. I don't know if you guys know what they are. They'd be great on bought shows, which are if somebody pays money to buy a show, much like the Saudi shows. Mm-hmm. And they go, hey,
party or whatever.
Yeah, you know how it is. And them guys are all great for that. But Candido is clearly showing that he's above and beyond that, because he's only probably 1 or 2 years older than me at this point. Mm-hmm. So he'd be 21, 22, 23 around that age.
And anything else on that match, guys, before I move us on?
No, I just thought that Candido just clearly showed that he was the star. And at some point during the match that he didn't even give a fuck that he was in a match with them guys. He was just going to get himself over. You know what I mean? He was going to get himself over.
Mm-hmm. And
the whole entire telling Johnny Hotbody his hair is blonde thing. What the fuck? I don't fucking know. And Stevie Wonderful's going, his hair looks blonde to me. Well, what the fuck? I know your quality of your TV shows is somewhat, iffy, but you can clearly tell his hair is brown or black or whatever.
Your color guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So we have Jay Sully and Todd Gordon at ringside, and then Paulie comes out with Don Morocco, and he is challenging the Sandman. He wants to challenge the Sandman for the ECW title. He does say something about himself. He says about himself that he has a cumbersome waist. I don't think either Morocco's ribbing himself or he doesn't know what the word cumbersome means.
I think he totally knew what he was talking about.
Because at the end of it, Paulie's like, "Hey, you ready for this match?" And Don Morocco's, "Yeah, order some Dominoes." And then he gets in the ring. He's like, "It's gonna be over quick."
I think Morocco was like truly trying to prime himself for like, "Yeah, I'm ready for this." And then when he put his two chubby hands around his waist, and then he realized it took a little while longer to reach the back of his waist, he realized that his waist was cumbersome.
Yeah, Morocco knew what he was saying.
That was a great comment, because we're vastly approaching one of my favorite matches of the whole entire show,
where Ernesto almost gets killed.
Yeah, Ernesto Beneficial.
He's my favorite. I can't tell you how much I love Ernesto Beneficio. Or as later on we'll reveal that his name was also Hervé Ernesto.
Yep.
He's the guy that saved me from getting beat up by Stan Hansen. That's why I love him.
I was gonna say he's the hero of the show for that, because you're able
he's
to
my hero.
You're able to be here. You're able to be here with us and speak through your own mouth, and it's great.
I used to love seeing Hervé.
Godspeed, Ernesto Benefacto. R.I.P. brother.
He's the best. Like literally, when I was my first show, I was supposed to work Stan Hansen, and Jesus Christ, it's so windy here. And I looked at my lineup, and it said Chad Austin versus Stan Hansen, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I think I told you guys, maybe Nate, Aaron, I told you one of you guys that I went to Stan, and I said, "Well, I'm working you tonight," and he said, "Well, I can't see what I'm hitting, and I can't hit what I'm seeing." So I thought that I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to get killed," and then like for some reason, I don't know what happened. But Paul changed the thing, and I walked up there, and it said Ernesto Beneficio. And I ran over to him, and I was like, thank God. Because, I was green. I was young. I was probably 23 years old. And who wants to get beat up by Stan Hansen? Fuck, not me.
Is that match coming up televised, or was that? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yes, with Hansen.
Yeah, I believe it is because it's in the clips of the show where he's got him tied up to the post and he's like beating on him and shit.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because I mean, you'll start to see a difference in ECW when they change the ring because he beat up Hervé Ernesto Beneficio like with the old Max Thrasher ring, and then like shortly after that is when they start seeing the other ring that Paul got, which was from what's his name? Rocco Rock.
Okay.
Hey, Cuddy.
Yeah, that big ring you see. That was a Rocco Rock ring. So once we start seeing the change in the ring and then quality, that's when it all starts changing.
We are definitely looking forward to that.
And also
Now,
during
who
isn't? Then also during the match, he stops beating up Ernesto, and this is how I also know the Cumberson waist thing was funny because he grabs the phone and he's talking on it, and he's like, "Yeah, I want a pepperoni and some sausage," and he's like ordering a pizza during the match, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, what about that whole entire tackle spot? Like where it was a drop down. I'm really not going to drop down. You're going to run into me. I'm really not going to sell it. And I'm going to run in slow motion when I step over top of you. Like, spot. I'm just like, this is like, I didn't know if it was a botch, honestly, at first, or it was the fact that he's just like, no, I'm not selling,
I'm not selling for you.
But I love her. I love Ernesto. He's the best.
And then Don almost kills him
Yes.
with this pile driver. And I don't know, since I'm not a wrestler, I don't know if it's Ernie's fault or if it's Don Morocco, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
No, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was perfect. She's in the bathroom. I thought it was perfect. I mean, because I perfectly wanted to see like where he drove his head. Because I thought that, a lot of times them guys, they take liberties, let's be honest. It's not always, peaches and cream and shit with that kind of shit. And a lot of guys take liberties, the young guys. Right. And I was like, well, what is Morocco going to do? And I watched where he put his head at. And he put his head right in the same spot that was perfect. And he literally, his top of his head may have touched the top of the canvas.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's cool. He took care of him. But he made him look stupid the whole entire earlier in the match.
This was I don't know if I want to call it painful or fun, but it was painfully fun to watch anyway. Overall, decent segment. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, if you're trying to get Morocco over,
it's set up a title match and everything, so it's okay.
Yeah, why would you try to get Morocco more over? I mean, what do you need to do? Do you really think beating Ernesto Beneficio is really going to get his credit score up? Jesus Christ! Like he needed that win.
And then now we replay.
We get more tractor tips with Terry.
Yes, the the same Terry Funk spot or same Terry Funk segment from like 3 or 4 weeks ago with the Freddie Gilbert or whatever they called that dummy.
It was the real hot stuff.
The real hot stuff, Freddie Gilbert. Like you said, Chad, they're repeating things because they're running out of things. And
yeah, I mean, totally. It's just like, but it's amazing to me. Like, did the ECW send the camera crew down there because the quality's the same? That's what I can't figure out. Like, the quality's the same. Did Eddie Gilbert pay somebody to go down there and shoot these promos? Because it's not like it's better quality, less quality. It's the same quality,
right?
But they keep showing them.
over and over again.
Yeah.
Get our money's worth.
I mean,
we're
not
worth out of the trans, I guess, for sending the cameraman down there.
Well, we're not far from. I understand what was going on when he said he was his brother, because we're not far from Freddie Gilbert appearing, and we all know who Freddie Gilbert was, right? It was Jared Lawler's kid.
Oh yeah, Kevin Lawler.
Yeah, the referee.
Yeah.
So I thought they were going in that direction, or they were going to introduce originally. I mean, they obviously could still do it, but I mean, that was a poor introduction, in my opinion. If they were going to go, that this is going to be, Kevin Lawler as the referee guy, because I know that Kevin moved up here in like '93 to help Eddie do like personal shit. But yeah, I was a big fan when Kevin came in, because I really like Kevin.
Did Kevin Lawler ever wrestle?
Well, he did, but he didn't. He was always if you watch Memphis, he was always under a hood. Okay. I think he was like the bee stinger, or like the the milkman, or he was always under a hood. If nobody could make it, or whatever, then Lawler would put him under a hood. So yeah, he worked a lot, but for some reason, I don't know the reason why, but I can't believe that Kevin was the black sheep of the family and not Brian.
Right.
At this point.
Obviously, Brian had black sheep written all over him in the end, to be honest. So now we have, here it is, the culmination already of the hot feud between Max Thrasher and JT Smith.
Oh, Jesus.
It's the Wolfman and Thrasher, the ring guys, against JT Smith and Tommy Cairo. And, Chad, I want to thank you for letting me know about JT and Wolfman being friends, and they had the ring and everything, because to me, it gives them a whole new gimmick. In my, I'm watching them with a new gimmick now. They're over with me. They're the ring guys.
Why, are you thinking about running a show?
No.
And you need somebody to bring the ring and put it up? He's a great first match guy. What's funny? I don't know if you guys caught it, but did you notice that the network, they started it where it looked like it was going to be Cairo against the Wolfman, because they cut it late to where you didn't see it was Cairo and JT against the Wolfman and Max Thrasher. I was wondering why are there two other people? Why are there two other people in the ring? And then when they introduced Cairo and JT, I was like, oh, it's a tag match. Because it must have been timing. I'm not going to say Gilbert fucked up or anything. It must have been a timing issue, because I thought it was a singles match, but I was wondering why there was 4 people in the ring.
When I watched this match, I was like, this is 2 professional wrestlers, because JT Smith and Tommy Cairo look like professional wrestlers. I put in this is 2 pro wrestlers versus 2 scuzz buckets, because that's what Canadian Wolfman and fucking Max Thrasher, just a couple scuzz buckets.
After I wrote, "Thank God this is over," I realized how hard it was for me to go to Tommy Cairo and tell him that I was going over in a match that we had. Like, this guy Paulie could have found something better for him. I don't have any idea what his political affiliation was with anybody in the office, but clearly Paulie had no ideas for Tommy Cairo, and I don't know why.
Me neither. I think. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say that JT and Tommy did like really good in this match together. And if I wanted to get my tag, like I honestly I was like, if I'm going to put a tag team division together, these guys looked like a tag team to me. Like I would have made these guys my tag champs.
Except for that rocket launcher.
Yeah, but that was because it was from the second rope, so it was kind of silly.
Oh, the second rope. I mean, could you imagine you would have done it from the bottom rope? Holy mackerel! That would have been that could have been the end of his career.
I put a note here that as one of the running things of ECW seems to be that Tommy Cairo gets in everybody's business.
Yeah,
he's
always, and it seems like he don't even know it.
Yeah, he's just around. Just whatever you guys need me to do tonight. My fellow baby faces, whatever you need me for, I'm here for you. Tommy Cairo, the Iron Man.
It seems like that everybody has a problem. Everybody has a problem with him, but yet he don't even fucking realize it. Like, he's just like, I'm just here to wrestle. And they're like, we don't like you. And he's like, what? I totally agree.
And then during this match, they put a crawl at the bottom of the screen. Okay? Hyping the Summer Sizzler series or whatever they want to call it. The Super Summer Sizzler. That's what they called it. It's coming up. And they're going to have two Philly Street Brawls. But did you notice what it said? It said 2 Philly Street Brawls, but Brawls was spelled BWAWLS.
Balls.
Balls. Well, I mean, it's Eddie Gilbert.
Typo, and nobody noticed. Walls.
Bad on you, Stevie Wonderful.
Yeah, wait till you see the attendance of that show. I don't think anybody noticed that either. I think that at the time, I think that may have been the best. I mean, we're talking about the ECW Arena, right? When they had that show.
Yeah, that one's in the ECW Arena. Yeah,
that would have had to been like one of them like turning points. Because at some point, didn't you see Todd like do a promo, and he says that I wrote that he's Todd Stradamus because he was cutting the promo and he's like ECW is going to be on the map, and I was like, oh yes, you are. I mean, for better or for worse, you guys are going to be on the map.
Definitely going to be on the map.
Yeah, I mean, the Chainsaw Massacre match, I want to believe, I'm pretty sure I was there. And I want to say at the most, it probably drew 800, maybe, which was humongous for the ECW Arena, considering it wasn't primed for 1,100, or 1,200. Right. It was still a small time venue.
I think it's Stevie Wonderful in this match. I know I probably want to move on from this match, but I did have a note here that Stevie Wonderful. I don't know if it was Stevie Wonderful or Jay Sully because I didn't write down who said it, but somebody compared Tommy Cairo to a young Rick Steiner.
Yep.
During this
his
match.
Body type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not his coordination, not his athleticism, not his talent, but the fact that it can almost lift the same amount of weights. That's an unbelievable comparison.
Yes, good job from our commentary team.
They both much like Rick Steiner. He has 2 feet, 2 hands, a head, a couple of ears,
got big boobies. Yeah, I heard that. I was like, I totally heard that, and I said, "What are you talking about? Like, how the hell can you compare Rick Steiner to Tommy Cairo? I'm not taking anything from Tommy Cairo,
right?
But I mean,
it was a terrible comparison. Let's just say it. It was a terrible comparison.
Well, yeah, I don't know where he got it from. Maybe Stevie Wonderful didn't know anybody else besides Rick Steiner. I mean, if he would have said he looks like Barry Horowitz. Yeah, he kind of does. Because he's laying on his back. Yeah, but that match, I wrote literally, thank God that was over. Because as soon as Max Thrasher tagged in Dudley, Dudley, I have no offense against, but he's just terrible. And he's ridiculously bad. And he's the perfect guy to be in that position where just don't do anything other than just when I hit you, just fall down. Just lay there and just lay there.
And for God's sake, pull your goddamn pants up.
Yeah, how many times have we got to see him do that? Like, how many times have you been in a street fight where some guy knocks you out, and then the last thing you're worried about is pull your pants up? Like one of my best friends in the wrestling business is Axel.
Mhm.
Axel, like, left us about 5 years ago or whatever. But he was one of them guys that he was always he always fat shamed himself because he had a big belly.
Mhm.
And every time you would give him a hip toss or a body slam, he would always somehow he would sell it, but he would find some way to pull his shirt down or pull his pants up. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, it looks like you're not even selling the move. You're more worried about your fucking dick hanging out or your belly hanging out than you are selling the move. But he just did it all the time. And it was one of the things where I would always beat him up about in the car rides. Like, you're stupid. Why do you do that?
And his tag partner, Balls, was the opposite. Balls would just be flopping around. Excuse the expression, Balls flopping around. But Mahoney'd just be, shirt up, flopping around, his ass crack hanging out. Yeah, that's how you sell it. That's how you sell it, Balls. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it didn't matter at all, But Dudley, I mean, I don't know what he was trying to cover up. Jesus.
All flopping around. I mean,
that's the name of the episode. All right.
You're getting the wrong kind of traffic, buddy. You don't need that.
Up next, we have that World Television Championship match everyone's been waiting for. The
rematch.
The big rematch of the tournament finals. That Superfly Jimmy Snuka guy going up against
ran out just like this Jimmy Snuka over here. He's going to defend the TV title.
We have no idea why he won it. Against Glenn Osborne, Aaron's favorite.
Paulie has a great line. He introduced he introduces Superfly Jimmy Snuka as the ECW TV champion and goes, and what a fine TV production it is.
Well, he's not lying.
He's dropping hints. He's dropping hints.
He goes, he is the TV champion, and what a fine television production it is.
Well, if you notice back in the earlier show, even I think this week's show, where Paulie was bitching about how rinky-dink ECW was.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're just in Philadelphia. He was in WCW with billions of dollars, and all this other stuff, and now he's in Philadelphia with some Mickey Mouse operation. But yeah, Jimmy Snuka, I mean, I'm not sure Jimmy Snuka even knew where the fuck he was at. Like he actually wore boots again. I mean, I don't think he took his boots off for the whole entire weekend because somebody had to tell him that you had to work a couple times. So he's like, you know what, brother, I'll just wear my boots the whole entire time. And he just kept them on, and he didn't know what was going on.
He
that clothesline over the top rope, though, that was a doozy.
Yeah, it sure was.
I've never seen anybody get eliminated from the Royal Rumble that they did themselves. Like the guy, Glenn Osborne, God bless his heart, because I think Glenn Osborne comes out of the same class as me as far as when they came into the business, and he pretty much got the same treatment as me, is where he got a whole lot real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know how to handle it, like not handle it as far as the fame, but you're wrestling all these big name guys. So he didn't really know what to do. And what are you going to tell Jimmy Snuka? I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And Jimmy Snuka's probably going, well, why do I got to take a fucking dive over the top rope for this fucking ham bone? And kind of thing. And when he hit him with a clothesline, that was so bad. And Snuka like runs over to the rope and bounces off of it. You saw it, right, Aaron? You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Where he kind of like he helps himself over the top rope, and I was like, oh god, he's trying to help Glenn out, but you're really not helping him out when it's that bad. But of course, Snuka wins with a Superfly Splash again. So you're really doing wonders for your new talent.
Yeah, no kidding. He's jobbed out twice to Snuka.
Yeah, this was an unneeded match.
That it just leads me to believe that Gilbert was just using not Paulie's money, but Todd's money, just to get the most he could out of whatever he had. And you can see it. It's the same, 6 people, 8 people?
Mm-hmm. But Aaron, I wouldn't even say it was an unneeded match. I mean, from a booking standpoint, you have a championship rematch. but the match itself was definitely not stellar by any stretch.
It didn't have any heat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like
there's times that we've talked about during.
They could have had an angle or something in it.
Well, and there's times that we've talked about during this whole show as we've evolved here. Like Chad said a couple of times about how they're essentially trying to do the best they can with what they have. And I saw that a little bit in this match. Like, it didn't have heat, but I could tell where they were trying to put some heat on it because they had the Dangerous Alliance / Hot Stuff Incorporated all out there around ringside. I mean, you could tell they were trying to put some kind of heat on it. But
my thing is, like, instead of replaying an entire segment from last week at the beginning of the show, why not use that time to let Glenn Osborne attempt to cut a promo at the beginning of the show and saying, you know, tonight I'm gonna try to right this wrong of me losing my match, and I'm gonna win the TV champ.
100% agreed. Why wouldn't you take that opportunity? Why wouldn't you take that opportunity to give Glenn Osborne? I'm sorry, guys. Can you hear the wind in the background?
Yeah, but we can hear you though. It's cool.
Okay. I mean, why wouldn't you give Glenn Osborne the opportunity to at least speak his mind as to why he lost? Because in my opinion, I would have gave the whole entire. I was intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm wrestling Jimmy Snuka. I was completely intimidated, and you know, when I lost the TV title thing, and now I'm going to redeem myself. But the match was so independent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right though. You could have cut the butterflies are gone now. I kind of know what I'm dealing with. Even if he loses, you know, like you said before, way to get the guys that are coming back next week over the guy that may or may not be here next week. Glenn
Osborne didn't have to win, but he didn't have to lose clean. Or if he lost clean, he could have lost with a fuck.
Right.
You could have fucked him, and that way it would have made him look decent for when he comes back, and he promises to challenge again for the TV title. So that was a faux pas on Gilbert. Gilbert, in my opinion, Gilbert books like Memphis. He tries to book things like long term, but long term is not something you can book on an independent company,
right?
Because you never knew he was going to be there.
So. We're about to wrap up the show, actually. We got Jay Sully and Todd Gordon out here, and Eddie Gilbert comes out to give him some shit about this. What's the match? It's the Texas
chain match.
Chainsaw.
The Texas chain massacre.
I like Chad's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I like it.
It's what it was, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But I mean, they cut to a Terry Funk promo where he's talking about where this is my type of match. I've never heard of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre match before. Never. And how the fuck does that benefit Terry Funk? Because isn't Terry Funk the master of the Bull Rope match or the Texas Death Match? Since when do these Texas guys use chains?
The biggest reveal came during the Eddie Gilbert Todd Gordon promo though, because apparently in this storyline when Eddie and Todd were kids,
Jesus Christ.
Eddie Gilbert killed Todd Gordon's family dog.
Oh Jesus Christ! I got that written down too, and I wrote a question mark on what the fuck is it about Todd Gordon's family dog?
Eddie
what
killed
the
it.
Fuck? Yeah, but where'd the story go? I mean, he said, Eddie Gilbert, you were a teenager. Why the fuck was Eddie Gilbert in Philadelphia hanging out with Todd Gordon when he was a teenager?
Killing dogs and shit.
Yeah, after all the stories I've heard about Todd Gordon, who I ain't got a bad word to say about because his check's always cleared. But what are you doing hanging out with a young Eddie Gilbert? Having animals involved. Yeah, that was strange to me.
Yeah, it was weird. It was just this out of nowhere. Yeah, I did not see that coming at all.
He's like, "You killed my dog, man."
I mean, wasn't he insinuating that Eddie Gilbert got him like drunk or something?
I think so. And then he killed his dog, and Eddie said if I would have had a chance, I would have got the other one. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, I have no idea who booked this, but clearly it just didn't go anywhere. I mean,
they're like, hey, we ran out of funk footage. We need to we need to get something else going here for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, don't you remember when you killed Todd Gordon's dog? And Eddie goes, no. He goes, well, hurry up.
You did now. Remember it.
Yeah, hurry up. And don't forget you killed Tommy. You killed Todd Gordon's dog.
If you would have had a chance, you would have got the other one.
The one thing I don't like about Eddie Gilbert about this time is that Eddie Gilbert is way better than getting cheap heat by wearing a New Jersey Devils jersey. Like, I know Eddie Gilbert can do better than that.
Mm-hmm.
That was just cheap heat. You know, he was wearing a New Jersey Devils jersey while he was managing Morocco and Snook and all, and that's just cheap heat in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the crowd goes banana for that shit. As we'll see later on in the ECW shows. But, you know, he's like, I'm just getting cheap heat. But like, Eddie Gilbert, you're better than that. But it almost seems to me like he was just fucking, I don't know. I don't want to say cruise control, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was just booking what he has. And they don't have a roster, in my opinion. They don't have a deep enough roster to go on with this. When Todd Gordon was talking about how we're going to be on the map, you're not going to be on the map with this nonsense. Like, clearly you're not, you know? But boy, we were wrong.
Anything about the Funk promo before we?
That was a basic Terry Funk promo.
Yeah.
It sounded like he was on probation. and he was cutting that promo for his probation officer. Because you know I love all you people in Philadelphia. And like, what do you mean? You love all these people in Philadelphia. You've seen the best and you've seen the worst. Well, I don't think they've seen the worst yet. Because don't we still have another Cabrini College show to do?
We got like 2 or 3 of them, buddy.
Oh, well, fuck. Well, Terry Funkin don't even have any idea what he's talking about then.
And Jay Sully, to end this show, says, and I quote, "We will be right back next week." Did you catch that?
No, I didn't catch that.
He said, "We'll be right back next week."
Well, Jay Sully, it's amazing to me because I don't know which one it was. Was it you, Nate, or Aaron that said that Steve Wonderful was the guy that was the sound guy or something?
Yeah, he was a sound guy.
And then Jay Sully, I don't know what he was like before wrestling, but neither one of these two had any wrestling experience whatsoever.
It's very obvious.
Yeah, and they're out there calling wrestling, and it's just like, come on, dude.
Every week I try to learn something new about Stevie Wonderful or figure something else out about him. And I found something out about Stevie Wonderful. Okay?
Do tell.
And this is no lie because I was watching the credits. And apparently, I don't know who the assistant director was, but he was called The Legend. It was in quotes, assistant director.
Oh, I saw that.
The Legend.
Yeah.
And who the fuck is that?
I caught that on the pass by, and I went, wait a minute, Legend? Who are you talking about, the Legend?
Yeah, it's Larry Zbyszko doing there. But it's that original music, like the theme for ECW was Stephen C. Truitt. And I'm assuming I'm saying it right because the last name is Truitt. Truitt. That is Stevie Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea, but all I can tell you is that whoever the guy was that put the show together, I think his name was Matty. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a generic music bed.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. Stevie Wonderful is the guy that performed the original like Cabrini College ECW theme. It was Stevie Wonderful.
Well, good for Stevie Wonderful. That's going to be the biggest thing on his resume. He's the Cabrini College fucking what do they call that?
Team guy.
Yeah, like that's terrible. But as far as like the music goes, like that's why the WWE network didn't even change the music because it was all generic. It was a generic bed. They got it from the TV studio, so they didn't have to change the music, which I'm very grateful for because I'm glad because now it makes me feel like now I'm watching what I used to watch,
Right.
Because that, as we'll see later on in the shows.
Well, yeah, we're going to get into some bad WWE dubbed music on the network in these shows. It's bad.
Yeah. By the way, are we going to do like the pay-per-views and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
going to do the Super Summer Sizzler Slam Spectaculars thing. We'll be doing that in a couple of weeks.
Just try to find out how many S's you could put in a fucking goddamn fucking show. The Super Summer Spectacular Slamming fucking just do it. Actually, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I'm actually looking forward to the Eddie Gilbert Terry Funk Chainsaw Massacre because I'm pretty sure I was there, and Funk and Gilbert aren't going to let down.
Right.
The crowd. But obviously, in the undercard, you're going to see the Super D's against Larry Winters and Stetson, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to deal with all that because it's ECW. But but as long as they're going to have Eddie Gilbert and Funk doing that, then I was all there, and I didn't even give a shit what the undercard was.
So overall, I gave this week's show. I actually gave this week's show a 2, mainly based on the fact that I didn't mind the tag title match, and I do enjoy me some Sal Balomo in this show. So I did give the show a 2 this week out of 5. Aaron, what'd you think?
1.5.
1.5. Did you like the tag title match? Is that what gave you at least a 1.5?
I liked the tag. I didn't say I liked the tag title match when Stetson and Candido were in there, and then like I said, I like Tommy Cairo and JT as a tag team.
Chad, what'd you think out of 5?
Well, I mean, first off, I want to know what happened to Todd Gordon's dog.
I don't think it's a mystery that ever gets solved.
Yeah, it better because
Mr. Fuji cooked it up and fed it to him.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm friends with Todd on Facebook, so I might message him and ask him, "What did Eddie Gilbert do to your dog?"
He'll be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I don't want to talk about it, man.
I'll send him a message and I'll go, "Seriously, like, what did Eddie do to your dog, man?" And why the hell did you have somebody from Lexington, Tennessee, up in Philadelphia at your house watching your dog? You couldn't find a neighbor? Somebody more responsible than Eddie Gilbert, who's turned heel more than Austin Idol, to watch your canine? I don't know. But overall, I give it. I mean, what is the growing census as far as each week? It's been around a 2, right?
Yeah, I've been averaging about a 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this was probably a little bit better than the last couple shows, but I don't even know why.
Like I said, for me, I liked the tag title match. I liked the title change. Funk's promo was good. Like I said, Sal Balomo on these shows is a guilty pleasure that I'm enjoying watching him. Yeah, Super D and
Super B.
Super D and number 3.
Super D and number 3. It's me, Sal Balomo. So let's do the preview of next week's show from the WWE Network. It'll be June 1st, 93. On this edition of Eastern Championship Wrestling, the ECW Championship is on the line when the Sandman defends the title against Don Morocco. Plus, JT Smith in action, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, and ECW TV champion Jimmy Snuka face Glenn Osborne and Tommy Cairo getting involved in somebody else's business again. That and much, much more next week on ECW.
Well, who said that much more?
WWE Network did.
Okay. Because my much more is I'm hoping that you see more of Ernesto Beneficio.
Maybe it's Ernesto.
Sooner or later, we're going to start seeing Donnie Allen, who is one of my all-time favorites. So he's right there. Like Ernesto Beneficio. I don't know if he worked for Eddie Gilbert or Paulie or whatever, but he's my favorite.
And Chad, I know earlier. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a big Ernesto Beneficio versus the Canadian Wolfman match. Maybe that's the much more.
Seriously. Don't even waste time on this podcast with that.
If that match is on, we all get to skip it. That's the rule.
I'm telling you, I mean, mark my words, once you start seeing a change in the production values, and then once you start seeing the change in the ring, then you know that when Paul E took over. And it's got to be coming. Because there's no way Todd can keep bleeding whatever it was money, that he's paying Eddie Gilbert a week. There's no way. Because it's literally the same, 8 guys every single week.
We need to change Canadian Wolfman's name to Wolfman Whack. I guess Wolfman Whack.
Well, a question quickly. Did Paul become the booker? Eddie leaves and Paul become the booker, or did Paul start helping Eddie book before? Were they book? Did they book together at some point?
Well, this was the first.
The reason I asked that is because I do know we're going to go through the whole thing of Eddie doing the annoying thing as the King of Philadelphia. So that's why I'm saying is did Paul start booking before Eddie left, or did he start booking when Eddie left?
Well, like I said, I was going to say, if you watch the closing credits of this show, this was the first show that I saw that the associate producer was Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman, yeah.
Okay. This was the first one that I saw that it was Paul Heyman.
I think Paulie started as his booking assistant.
Well, yeah, I mean, booking assistant, buddy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Best friend kind of thing. Because they had tremendous title on it. They had tremendous success at Continental, doing the same exact thing in a small market. But now you're in a bigger market like Philadelphia, and they're bloodthirsty fans, and you're giving them Jimmy Snuka versus Glenn Osborne. Seriously, you have to they're going in the right direction, but they don't know they don't have the right ingredients. If that makes any sense, to say this is where we're going to go. We need somebody better than Glenn Osborne and Tommy Cairo and the Rocket Rebel kind of thing. But we're going in the right direction. But you still got Morocco for whatever reason. I don't know. But Terry Funk to me is going to be the pivotal point in the whole entire ECW turnaround. Because that's when I think fans are going to start taking ECW way more serious than he did, because I know I looked at it I'm watching it now, just watching it going, this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's not even being judgmental. It's ridiculous. It's the same people every single week, and they're all interchangeable.
Treading water.
Yeah, you're not making stars. None of the guys are getting enough promo time to get their gimmicks over, which I don't know what Larry Winter's gimmick is. Maybe he works at a car wash. I don't fucking know. Tony Stetson looks like he's a bookie. I don't fucking know what he does. But I mean, why not explain that?
Yeah.
They go out there and what does Larry Winters bring to the building as far as a suitcase? A paper bag with his trunks in it. You don't have knee pads, elbow pads, a jacket. Most guys roll into the building wearing a suitcase. They're carrying a gimmick and some boots. Yeah, he just rolls in.
I'm Larry Winters.
I'm Larry Winters. Look at my mullet. Don't you know who I am?
At least that would be something.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny to me that Larry Winters was around in the 80s. And for some reason, I guess Paul E, because Paul E was around when Larry Winters was somewhat of a decent name in the late 80s for the NWF. So Paul E kept him around for a little while, and he's just not good. And I'm sorry. I don't want to beat him up over it, but he's so independent.
Yeah. Right.
He looks like he's out there in his undies.
Yeah. all his bumps are elementary. When somebody throws a clothesline, who the fuck is going to run into somebody's arm that's just sticking out? When you throw a guy into the rope, you throw a guy into the rope and you stick your right arm out and you expect the guy to run into it.
Larry Winters should have been like, I'm Larry Winters, the fruit of the doom.
Yeah.
Fruit of the Doom.
It's stuff like that that just makes me wonder, like, how the fuck do these guys survive that long? I mean, because I'm not saying I was anything spectacular, but one of my biggest praises was when I was breaking in was everybody loved the way that I sold.
Mm-hmm.
Because you sold everything that happened to you, and you sold it the right way. Larry Winters just took a bump. Like, you stick your arm out, you run into it. You lay down, boom.
Larry Winters hits a big move, and the crowd starts chanting, BVD, BVD.
Yeah. Fruit of the loom. Fruit of the loom. Good thing he never shit himself.
Depends.
He wouldn't have a change of outfit. I'm sure he wore them tights underneath his jeans.
Oh man, yeah. Journeyman Larry Winters, the star of the tail end of this show. I love the new gimmick too. See, I love it.
Fruit of the Doom.
So, Aaron, any parting words for our listeners this week?
Nope. Just thanks for listening.
Chad, any cheap plugs you'd like to throw in here?
Of course, man. I'm always about the cheap plugs.
Right.
I've learned that from Mick Foley. First of all, we got to thank all the new members of the 2300.
Yes.
That I saw your post today. I'm glad that we're growing exponentially, and our numbers are getting bigger, and our podcast is getting more and more listens. And I'm hoping to get John Finnegan as a guest on one of these shows.
That would be awesome.
Yes, I think it would be awesome as well. And I want to say, you can always follow me on the Twitter as Chad Austin Demera, which I don't really do anything except post beer huggies, clearly. And,
hey, I look forward to the beer huggy of the day. Thank you very much.
I've been doing it forever. And I never posted saying beer huggy twice. And there's another podcast.
You're like the Mil Mascaris of beer huggies.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Mil Mascaris still wears the same mask. Like, he takes the one mask off, but he wears the same mask after that. But there's another podcast that I like to promote. My friend, I don't know if you guys are into vinyl records.
Yes, actually, recently just started getting them again.
Yeah, my close personal friend, his name is Dave Morris. He does a podcast called Hip Hop Vinyl Spinners. It's a podcast where he does a review of hip hop records, and he's a wrestling fanatic like me. So he was the guy that I was hoping we can get on one day.
Sure.
Because he's one of my old time friends. And when I told you I was going out of town this weekend, and if you wanted to do another show, he'd be a guy to have on the show. And I want to say Hip Hop Vinyl Spinners is a great podcast, and I'm just happy to be part of this show. You guys have been fantastic, and you treated me well. And this is great, except for the fucking wrestling. God damn. Can we get a Dudley? Can we get a Dudley boy on there sooner or later?
Sooner or later, one of these days. Well, we appreciate having you on.
Technically, Canadian Wolfman's a Dudley.
Just because his name is a Dudley don't mean he's a Dudley.
He's Dudley. Oh boy.
Yeah. He's a Dudley old doozy. Much like this whole entire
Doozy
college.
Doozy Dudley.
Dudley.
That's Wolfman's new name, Doozy Dudley.
I have to tell you, this whole entire Cabrini College thing is, I don't know, it was a failed experiment. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how much money Todd paid for all this. I don't know. Like, what went into it. But clearly, Eddie Gilbert to me is not the kind of booker that you want to book for a company that needs to run week by week.
Mm-hmm.
Like Memphis, Memphis runs week by week. And if you ever heard any of these stories about Dutch Mantel and Eddie Gilbert, how Dutch books and how Eddie Gilbert books, he books month in, month out.
Right.
And Gilbert books Dutch books show to show. And Gilbert, he just spends too much time on the meticulous things. But you're like, your meticulous things is Glenn Osborne.
I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard they wanted to get out of the Cabrini College, and they were trying to do something with the middle school, but the middle school found out Sal Baloma was on the card, and they're like, he's not allowed within 50 feet of this.
Well, so much for that's why he became Super Destroyer number 3.
Hey, put the mask on. He's like, I'm trying to get out of here, brother.
Yeah,
we gotta go to the middle school.
Yeah, he needed a payday, man. I'm not gonna hate on Sal Balomo. Like, imagine if he ordered a pizza joint. Who wouldn't order a pizza from Sal Balomo?
He's like Matthew McConaughey on fucking Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Looks the same man. He's like, hey, Hack, you know what I like about that?
I would love if Sal Balomo had a pizza joint. He don't even have to make a pizza. He just has to be the guy at the front counter.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm Sal Balomo, Super Destroyer number 3. And everybody looks down like, well, I ordered a pepperoni. I don't know what you got going on back there, but
lifts his mask up to get a breath.
Yeah.
Back down.
Don't worry about what I got going on back there.
Yeah. Here's a slice.
What the fuck?
Keep it in your mouth shut.
I think I said last week that this could have been the least amount of notes that I wrote ever on the show. I think I've outdid myself. I think I'm saving paper by watching these fucking shows, because the last thing I wrote, I had plenty of space at the end of my thing where I wrote Funk and Gordon, the Family Dog, Funk promo, and then I wrote, thank fucking God it's over. I had just enough space to write all that in big letters, because honestly, we were talking, I think it was me and you, Nate, we were talking earlier about bad wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we didn't know any better and didn't know what ECW had became, later on, this would classify as bad wrestling.
That's what I was going to say. Would we have given up on this by now? Like, I'm not going to watch this anymore.
There's a good possibility we would have.
It's a big assault. It's a big. Come on down. The kids are each for free.
It's brutal.
It really is. It's bad. Like
I wrote at one point that where the fuck is it at right here? Oh, Jesus Christ. I wrote something about this is I wouldn't dive in this talent pool. Like, because literally
first.
Yeah, it's Snuka, Morocco, Gilbert, Paulie, Sal Balomo, Glenn Osborne, JT Smith, Tommy Cairo, The Rebel, Sandman, not diving in that pool. No. I break my neck.
For one, somebody probably peed in it. And two...
Yeah, it's bad, but I mean, it gets better. I mean, I have no idea what Todd's putting in for money, but I guess you guys heard the promos about how much Eddie was making, blah blah blah, and I'm assuming that Todd probably put what $250,000. Does that probably start? Is that what the rumor was? I guess,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
I think actually that article that I read a few weeks ago that let me know who and what Stevie Wonderful was, that was pretty close. It was like between 2 and 2.5, I think.
Yeah, and the production cost got to be about
$7 a week.
Well, no, I mean from the studio and all, it's got to be about $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you got to pay to air it,
and you got to pay to send that guy out to the Double Cross Ranch.
Yeah, well. What do you mean, Eddie Gilbert's brother?
Yeah.
And then you got to pay Stevie Wonderful and Jay Sully. I mean, that's going to bankrupt you.
I think Stevie Wonderful worked for Room and Board.
Just to have his name on the credits.
Yeah, just let me stay in the basement at the Cabrini College. I'll be good. That'll be wonderful.
That's unbelievable.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us once again this week for another edition of the 2300 Pod. Chad, Aaron, thank you for joining me. And we will see you all again next week as we continue this journey